Hello everyone, my name is Diego Leyes, and on this video I will be talking about a review of my neighbor's shed project. I will be discussing some challenges I had, and also I will go through the formal project and checklist. So let's get started. First of all, I need to mention that this situation is an exercise. This didn't happen in reality. So this is the scenario. My neighbor knows that I am a recent graduate of NAU, and he knows that my major was project management. He has in mind a project of building a shed in his backyard in which he will use to hold gardening tools, lawn mowers, lawn furniture, and so on. He asked me to lead this project and gave me the budget of $10,000 and 30 days to complete it. The project will be performed by a worker whom I will hire to do the job and myself who am going to lead the project. So the first point that is necessary to mention is the purpose of the project and its goals. As purpose I have to build a small shed in which will be used to hold gardening tools, lawn mowers, lawn furniture, etc. As goals, I have these followings. To build a shed with a gable roof, size 10 by 10 feet. The interior has to be insulated by left unfinished. One small window and one door with a screen, both on the same wall. The shed will have exterior hardy plank siding and be painted white. It will have an interior and exterior light fixture. It will have a small sink for gardening in the corner of the shed. There are some key people who are involved in the project, so those people are called stakeholders. The stakeholders in this project are my neighbor, who is the client and the person who gave me the requirements and the one who will approve the project. The worker, who is in charge of doing the construction and the design of the shed. Myself, who will be working as a project manager. The next important step to mention is the project's scope. The scope of this project is to build a 10 by 10 feet shed with a gable roof in my neighbor's backyard. It is also important to say that the project is limited to build a small window and one door with a screen on the same wall. The interior will have a small sink in the corner of the shed, and it has to be insulated by left unfinished. The shed will have exterior hardy plank siding and be painted white. It will have an interior and exterior light fixture. It has to be done within 30 days and the budget is $10,000. Another aspect that I need to say is what tasks depends on each other or the project's dependencies. The dependencies of these projects are excavation and foundation, building of walls and roof, framing and insulation, roofing, windows and doors, electrical, plumbing, and landscaping. Those tasks depend on each other in order to be done. For example, to build the walls and roof is needed to complete first excavation and foundation. There are some assumptions that we usually have that are bounded by some constraints. So on this project, the assumptions are: the labor cost will be more expensive during Sundays. I will have all resources available for the worker to perform his daily tasks. My neighbor, one of the stakeholders, will meet me in order to have a good communication during the project. On the other hand, the constraints are: it has to be done in 30 days or less. The budget is $10,000, no more. Only one worker will be doing all job beside my role as a project manager. A technical constraints would be all requirements set by the client. One of the most important things to pay attention is what your risks are. On this case, there could be days where the worker will not be able to complete his tasks due to weather conditions or sickness. This will bring a delay to the project, but it will be contained by either having a backup worker or having a double shift work the next day of bad weather. Lack of resources availability on time. This will bring a delay to the project as well, but it will be contained by finding another providers, stores, or personnel, depending on what kind of resource is lacking. Important mistakes done by the worker. This could impact negatively the time projected and the quality projected. So, if it happens, I will make the worker correct the error no matter what. To prevent this, I will supervising continuously. The last but not least are the deliverables. The project success may be verifiable by looking at the completion of these milestones. The excavation and foundation was correctly done. Framing and insulation can be noticed by just looking at it. The roof was well done. The shed has a window and a door where they are supposed to be located. All electrical work was done correctly. It works correctly. The plumbing work was done correctly. The landscaping work was done as expected. One of the challenges that I had in this project was when my neighbor changed his mind and he wanted to make it 15 by 15 feet for more space for storage. He also wanted to add a window because he wanted to get more sunshine coming into the shed. It is important to mention that he let me know those changes after planning the project. As a project manager, I saw that those changes were possible to make and I accept them. I let my neighbor know that we would need at least 2 more days to complete the project. So I convinced him that the changes were possible to do as long as he allowed me to extend the date for at least 2 days. I also let him know that I would need his collaboration as every stakeholder. He agreed to extend the due date for 2 more days. At this part, I used some techniques of leadership, dealing and persuading my working in order for him to understand that the plan was changed. On the other hand, I had to expand my scope and recalculate the costs. For example, my new scope was replaced to this one. The scope of this project is to build a 15 by 15 shed with a gable roof in my neighbor's backyard. The project is limited to 1. Build 2 small windows and 1 door with a screen on the same wall. 2. It has to be done within 32 days. The rest of the scope kept the same. Talking about costs, as part of my plan, I calculated as cost of change and I set it at $750. So making the new calculation, $750 was enough to make the required change. In addition to the scope and costs, I modified a constraint. Instead of 30 days of period of completion, I had 32 days. Having had this budget, $750 for change, made an extra risk on the project because we were barely on budget. So whatever extra thing had affected to the cost, we would have been over budget. However, nothing extra happened. Project closing is a phase that some project managers ignore, but it is as important as other phases. According to Pradip 2017, there are 7 steps to close a project, as we can see. After building the shed and having checked that I met all requirements, I met my neighbor to get the formal sign-off. Then I reviewed the project scope and I checked that everything was done according to it. Also, I gave all material left back that I didn't use to my neighbor. On the other hand, the worker who performed tasks of building the shed was told by me that the project was ended successfully, so our work relationship on this project was terminated. The next step that I did was compiling the project files and giving a copy to my neighbor. That project file would help me for future projects. The lesson learned on this project was part of the documentation because it will help me in future projects as well. Finally, I invited my worker and my neighbor to a barbecue to celebrate the project culmination and the success of it. To sum up, this project represents the quality of results that a project should have. Having planned every aspect involved in this project, the results were expected. I believe that the way we worked agreed with the expectation that the client had, so his satisfaction increased. This project followed methods that I have studied in the project management course, so the project was professionally managed. Finally, I'm leaving the references that I used to complete this project's example. My name is Diego Leyes, and I hope this being useful for you. Thank you.